Hi, my name is Dennis Braunsdorf. I am a composer specialized in trailer music and commercials. And I also have a PhD in music and human-computer interaction. Within my PhD, I studied the process of making music, alternating with the process of making music software. So I ask questions like, how does the software that I use impacts upon my compositional process? And how can I improve my software so that I can work faster, or that my music can sound better, or that my process is more enjoyable? Welcome to my private kitchen. Within my PhD, I use a so-called self-study technique, which simply means that you're recording yourself while composing and producing music via a webcam, via an internal microphone, and also your screen, so that you can also see the steps you're doing in your DAW. So when you then finish your composition, you also finish the recording, and then you can have a look back on your own productional process. And then you will also see steps you're doing in your composition process you were never aware of, because right in that moment, you are focusing on your compositional and production process rather than all the steps you are doing. I always ask myself the question, how can I maybe improve some of the steps I'm doing within my process, and how can my process can be optimized through changing some of my controllers or through changing some of my software. And also after my PhD, I continued doing this. So I'm still recording myself while composing. And I want now to show you 3 of these outcomes where I think that they improve my workflow and make my workflow also more enjoyable. And at the end, I hope also that it improves my compositions. I'm really pro using shortcuts, but I figured out that it's sometimes very hard to integrate new shortcuts or existing shortcuts in my daily workflow, because I have the problem to memorize some of the shortcuts via my keyboard, because I do not see them. I do not have the visual feedback between my computer keyboard and the shortcuts. So some people are using a iPad controller for that, but I prefer to use now this stringnet controller, because you also have this physical feedback of a knob. So I use this controller mainly as a shortcut controller for my keyboard shortcuts, and I'm continuously changing and improving this controller based on some shortcuts I really prefer, and I think that my workflow benefits from them. But I also use it as an articulation controller. So a lot of people are using just the master keyboard, and then they are using the articulation somewhere at the bottom of your controller or at the top of your controller. Some people are using a secondary keyboard where they program all the shortcuts for the articulations, but with this controller you can also give it the names. So I directly see the name of the articulation, and I don't need to octave or to transpose to another octave to control my shortcuts for the articulations. I just directly see it, and also that you can give it a name really much helps the workflow and to decide which articulation to use or not. Within my PhD, I figured out that I used a lot of MIDI-CC automation, but I had some problems in punching in the MIDI-CC automation when I want to re-record it. So because this mod wheel is not moving with the automation curve, so sometimes there was a kind of irritating jump or switch when I punched in the MIDI recording. So what I want is kind of comparable with volume automation or volume motorized fader automation, is to have the same for MIDI. And that was not kind of something very usual. So what I did is I wrote a small script. So I converted the Mackie protocol to MIDI CC, and I embedded it as a transmit protocol in Cubase. I have now this violin 1 instance, and what we see now here is that 8 of the parameters are automatically connected within the quick controls. So the expression is linked to the expression, and the dynamics is linked to the dynamics. The reverb, here we have the release, tighten, vibrato, the mix, and the stereo pan. So by recording something, let's have a look. Right. So now I will move here the fader, and also move here the fader, or I move within my plugin the fader. Right. Now these 3 lines are recorded, and when I'm going back to the start position, you directly see that all the MIDI CCs are moving. And that's very handy, because now when I'm duplicating this track, all right, so now we have these 2 tracks, and you directly see when I'm now recording here something else, or will remove these ones, I will change these ones. You will directly see when I'm jumping between these 2 instances, it's all the parameters are changing. So you have a very nice visual overview of all my MIDI CC parameters, where the position is, but also when I'm changing the track, that all the parameters are following the program MIDI CC. So the third example is this in C# programmed Lemur patch. The objective of this controller is to have a real-time feedback of orchestral sounds, properly voiced in good automated inversions, and also modulations to different keys. So I will give you an example. When I'm now playing without any voicing, so when I'm now recording the instrument or the instruments and opening now my MIDI, then you will see that in the lower octave it's playing A flat, C, E flat, and G, and also in the upper octave it's playing the same. And it's now directly spread over all 9 instruments. So now, when I'm now deciding to do the upper region, the voicing is a drop 2 voicing, and the lower region is a drop 2 4 voicing, and now recording it again. Yeah. And now we are opening both recordings. You now directly see the difference of the first recording and the second recording. And of course, I can double it directly with the winds and the brass. So when I'm now playing the winds and the brass, now in total 27 instruments are playing 9 different tones spread on 4 octaves. And this is just playing triggering one key. But I can also then switch to another chord. And also now when I want to modulate to another key, so now I'm A flat major 7, and now I will go, for example, to G flat. Now I actually modulate very easily just by shifting between different modes. This enables me to have this real-time feedback. It enables me also to play in real-time different voicings that are physical impossible with two hands. It also gives me the best in playable inversion, and also it makes it easy for me to modulate to a different key very easily. So these were my 3 examples of outcomes of my self-study, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe I inspired you also to do self-study methods in order to improve or to make your workflow more enjoyable.